Not unless I pull up the live, then I can see it.
And we are live. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another great show of B&T Sports Talk Radio. It's December 18th, 1 week before the big show, and that big show is Christmas. We're almost there. So we're excited to be discussing some of the great games that happened today and some other interesting happenings around the sports world. If this is your first time listening to us, please drop us a like, hit the subscribe button, ring the notification button, do all that stuff. We really, really appreciate you listening in. B man, how you doing?
I'm good, man. Tired. Got roped into playing softball almost all day. Been up since 7, so that was nice and cold and refreshing to say the least there. But life's good. Shout out, Kane. I know you're watching us again, so
Shout out.
good to have you on. We'll try to keep the cussing to a minimum, but we're gonna start off the show with probably some cussing coming from me pretty shortly here.
We gonna do our best. We gonna do our
Yeah,
best.
but
Well, go ahead, B.
no, no, you lead it off,
All
sir.
right, I'm gonna lead it off. So we're gonna start off with Ole, 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 Ole. One of Brian's favorite sports, football, as it's called around the world,
Soccer.
known as soccer here in America, where no one actually plays it, at least not that's any good. So
Berries.
let's jump into it. The World Cup final was today. Argentina beats France on penalty kicks. It was a great game. The first half, Argentina was up 2-0 on 2 goals by were they? Yeah, I think they both were. No, one of them was by Messi on a penalty. And the other one was by another gentleman. Don't got his name off the top of my head. And then the great Mbappe from France with 2 goals, one to get the party going on a handball, I believe it was, inside the box, and the other was a out of the air one-legged strike that equalized the score at 2-2. They went on to score more, went up to 3-3 in the 2 extra times that they played, and then into penalty kicks where the great Argentinian goalkeeper Martinez blocked 2 goals, or actually one was missed. He blocked the other. He actually did this against Croatia as well, and man, what a game that was! So hopefully, folks got a chance to see it. B actually got roped into it by accident. Uh,
Bro, it wasn't even an accident, man. They had that thing on like eight or nine TVs, man. So it's not like I could really get away from it. Now I want to go outside because it's freezing out there. So we're indoors watching soccer here. Honestly, have cared who won it. Now I know it is big for countries around the world because that is their main dominant sport. Here in America, we have the pleasures of getting 4 professional sports
yeah,
that kind of dominate soccer, to say the least. There, so I think for the world, it means you can see the emotion that it brings out for people in the stands there. And honestly, dude, I've known you for years. We have never touched even anything remotely soccer until today when I saw our pre-show notes. I was like, it's soccer. And
that's
then when
right.
you told me you were watching, I was like, damn,
Yeah,
probably one of 10 Americans that watch this sport on TV.
only I tune in for the World Cup. I'll watch some of Copa America. I don't watch a lot of the European leagues. I watch it now and again, but for the big tournaments that they have, I really enjoy watching them. The World Cup is really, really fun to watch because it's my country versus your country, and there's just so much energy behind
Well,
it. It's like if you took a college football game, except instead of representing a school, they were representing an entire country. So it has that type of energy where folks are crying and it's crazy, man. But it's really fun to watch. It's very fun to watch.
I mean, it's coming from you. For me, I'd rather watch paint dry and have a competition watching that
Come on
than
now,
watching
man.
them guys run around this big ass field and,
Okay,
with the big net. That's all I'm saying. It's just
okay, B.
look, man.
So if hopefully we're still doing this in the next 3 to 4 years, whenever the next one comes up. Okay, if you are going to be watching this with me, okay, if the next time the World Cup comes up, you gotta watch it, man. Look, soccer or football as it's called
Soccer,
is
soccer.
not is actually a very, very interesting and entertaining sport. It's just that most of the entertainment is around suspense, not scores. So you see a lot of almost goals. There's a lot of physicality. There's a lot of flopping. It's a lot like basketball. So you gotta
No.
it can be very free flowing, and when you're watching a really good team do it and do it well, it's very satisfying to see guys make 3 passes and score a goal. Just like it's almost like watching a fast break where a guy throws 2 passes and then a dunk. It's very satisfying. So it's a great sport. You got to give it a chance. Don't watch the MLS though. American League sucks. Don't watch that crap.
Dude, America sucks at soccer
Yeah,
regardless here. Everyone
it's,
was so hyped that they made it to the quarterfinals just to get their asses ousted by the Netherlands. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah,
this was the perfect time for the United States to showcase soccer with the fact that it's coming. Everyone knows the World Cup's coming to America in
yeah.
what, two? Is it 2 years or four
It's
years?
4 years, man. You
It's
know,
4 years.
yeah. So I would be hopefully America, as long as America makes the qualifiers and makes it to the World Cup, it'll be great. Now if they happen to fall out, then that's going to be kind of embarrassing.
But hold on, but it doesn't the host nation automatically qualify for the World Cup, or
Maybe
did
you're
that
right. I'll
change?
have to look into that. Maybe that's the
I
case. I'm not sure
uh,
why because they suck.
the
But
fact that
yeah,
I know
probably.
that is a little disturbing on my own end right there.
You didn't watch any of the
But
damn games, but you got encyclopedia knowledge. What the hell's going on, dude?
right, I have no idea, man. I can't answer that there for you. But the fact that they are, potentially just going to host, like, I
Yeah,
it's a critical time in soccer for the United States, to say the least. They've got 4 years to draw people's attention
yeah.
for this year, because it's look at this World Cup took place in the middle of football season. You know what's going to happen in the middle of football season with the World Cup going on in the United States?
It's gonna
Ain't
be
nobody
crazy,
watching
man.
that.
Yeah, exactly, exactly.
Watching that. We're watching 11 guys on the field turn into absolute train wrecks, running each other over. That's just the nature of the beast there.
Yeah. Well, folks, we'll move on. I don't want to bore everybody with my.
Well, no, I
What
actually
else you
have
got? You got a
a
question?
soccer question
Let's
for
see.
you. I
Okay, let's
do,
do it.
because this is all over the sports world right now.
Yeah, yeah,
Is Messi the greatest soccer player to play?
yeah, man. I mean, I think so. I mean, he's got all the accolades to back him up. I mean, him still playing at this stage in the game, he's very comparable to like LeBron James, where he's played for an extremely long time, but is still competing at a very high level, even though he's an older player. Same thing to some extent with Cristiano. I can't think.
Cristiano Ronaldo.
Ronaldo. Thank you. Uh,
God, the fact that I know that
I
scares
know,
me.
dude. We should talk about this more. I feel like it's bringing
No,
it out of you. Anyway,
no.
so yeah, I think Messi deserves all the accolades, greatest all time, all of that. I think he's definitely one of the richest soccer players or richest athletes in the world. And yeah, man, I really this may be the last time you watch him play in the World Cup. So I hope folks got a chance, because in another 4 years he's going to be 39 or 40 or whatever it is. I don't know how old he is right now, but he's in his mid to late 30s. So he may or may not be in the next one. Um, so it was very great to watch. It was great watching Brazil play. Neymar, they got bounced out by Croatia, I believe. And yeah, so it was fun. You saw some of the big name players in there, but Messi really fit the bill. Mbappe looked really good too, but Messi's he's the long term superstar. Mbappe's next up, so it was exciting to see. It was great.
Cool. Yeah.
It's good, man.
I kick the ball all day. Yeah.
Shame on you, Brian. Shame on you.
Sorry,
Sucker.
Sorry.
Oh, it's only corny to us because of how we represent it. It's actually a big deal to these other people, to other
You're
countries,
right.
man.
You're right. You're right.
You know
I
what I mean?
can't take that away from other countries here.
Yeah,
I can only
man.
take it away from the United States, which is perfectly fine.
All right. Well, let's transition to another sport that is American bred, or well, not American bred. Excuse me, soccer's not American bred, but to an American bred sport. And one of the teams that are near us in the San Francisco Bay Area, there's a giant poster behind B. So B, I heard the Giants made a giant signing. What they do?
Giant signing is an understatement. They finally signed a guy that was worth more than just $80 million, and is not washed up. They signed Carlos Correa for, dude, 13 years, $360 million.
That's
Like,
crazy, man.
the dude is
Where did the money
28
come from?
years old, so obviously he's in his prime at this time right now. But to sign a deal for 13 years that's got a no trade clause, and for all you people, what that means, he can't get traded. Even if he wants out, he can't go nowhere
That's crazy.
unless somebody wants to pay that contract, pretty much. So it locks him up for life. He's a giant for life, as we like to say here in the Bay Area. So, unfortunately, this means that our big guy Brandon Crawford, who's been around the team for years, is going to end up. This is his final year on a contract. He's been with the team for over 10 years now. So that continuity is there. He's a local boy as well. He grew up a Giants fan, and now his career is going to come to an end in a Giants uniform after this weekend, or not after this weekend, but after this upcoming baseball season. So, what blows my mind is the fact that we were hoping that Aaron Judge would get signed after he had a monstrous MLB season,
Mm-hmm.
and we end up with a guy for a longer term here. So I'm happy. This may get me out to the ballpark a little more. I'm still upset that Bonds didn't make the the Hall of Fame, as I clearly stated last week here. But this is good. Like, I want to see a winning product on the field here, because
Yeah.
that's what any sports fan wants to go out and watch. When we're spending tons of money to go take our family, our friends, wherever the case may be,
Beers
I
and
hope
hot dogs. Your $20 hot dogs.
beers and hot dogs and garlic fries.
That's right,
I'm
baby.
spending $80 on top of an expensive ticket. You better make it worth my money. And now the Giants have made it worth the money to go watch out and watch them play.
Good.
Speaking of money, though, I just want to shed some light. I don't know how baseball had this money, but they spent over $1 billion in contracts this year.
Hey, man.
$1 billion.
Everybody always talks about how the league, the MLB, is not getting as much press and attention, but they don't seem to be any short on money. I mean,
It's like, where did this money come from? You're not selling out stadiums. The
I
only
don't
time
know,
you
man.
sell out is for 1 month, and that's when the playoffs are around. But how do teams afford to shell out all these contracts in a year where it was over $1 billion when it's said and done?
Dude,
Like,
I don't know, man.
can you imagine an NBA player signing a 13-year, $360 million deal
Yeah,
with a no trade
yeah,
clause?
that's crazy. No, I
It's
mean, I
wild,
can't even think
dude.
of a player that would even, commit to that. I think we were talking about earlier. I mean, most marriages in America don't last that long. I mean, this is a
But they about that expensive, as we said.
so that's a big number, a big deal, and hopefully it makes it will make the Giants much better and more competitive going forward.
Well, and then we got a comment from Jess. Thanks for tuning in. Damn right, that's a huge signing, and it honestly is. Like, it was coming down to the nitty gritty. I feel like they were feeling the pressure from everyone going, you didn't sign Aaron Judge, so what are you going to do now? And they did it. And I think that money is well deserved. And remind you, this dude was part of the cheating Astros back in 2017, 2018, when they were banging on trash cans in the dugout and tipping pitches, and nobody liked him, right? And
Yeah,
now he's going to be playing with two guys on the team that were part of that World Series team that cost him a ring, whatever the case may be. But you got to put that to the side now. That's almost 5 years behind us. Guess what? It's water on the bridge. Your teammates now. You got to go out and get it done. Um, it just tickles my fancy that it was still the Dodgers that ended up getting cost World Series rings, and now they celebrate half the series. But that's for a whole nother rant there. But you know,
well, I'm glad
cheaters gonna cheat.
I'm glad you're getting tickled, Brian. That's great.
Oh,
It tickles. Oh man. There was a lot of excitement in and around this weekend when it comes to the NFL. We're getting to the nitty gritty. We're talking, playoff standings, who's going, clinching playoff berths. A lot of things were going on, but I want to start with some of the excitement from this weekend. I'm going to start with the Vikings in a
yo,
rather lengthy comeback that they put up. Apparently, games on Saturday are not the greatest idea because the Vikings, I think they forgot they were playing at one point, or maybe they forgot the
For
second.
2.5 quarters,
They,
they forgot that they were playing football on Saturday.
exactly. It was
It wasn't Sunday. Dude, largest comeback in NFL history. Matt
yes,
Ryan once again blows a big lead, and this ain't even the Super Bowl.
Matt
This was
Ryan.
a regular season
Matt
game.
Ryan again. Come on,
He
man.
does it again.
Oh
He
my
he
god.
strikes again. You had a 30-point lead. Like, how do you mess that up?
Man, the Colts could do no wrong in the first half. I mean, they were blocking punts for touchdowns, getting interceptions, fumbles. It was crazy. And I believe at the half they were up 30, I want to say 33 or 34 to nothing. It was like I pretty much I don't have NFL network, so I didn't get to watch the whole game. But I remember just checking, over and over again what the score was, and I looked and it was like 30 something to 0. I'm like, you know what? That's unfortunate. The Vikings just decided not to show up on a Saturday, um, and just left it at that. But the next thing I know, I find out later in the day that they actually won that game, and I was able to watch the highlights earlier. And I hate to say it, but it's another Kirk Cousins. Do you like that moment? And he did. He did
God,
put up some.
oh Jesus.
He put up so he played really well in the second half along with the rest of his team. The defense finally showed up. Justin Jefferson is an absolute monster, and at the wide receiver position, and they actually clinched. I believe they clinched the playoff seed by winning this game, if I'm not mistaken. B.
Yes, they did.
So
They clinched the North.
so there was actually something to play for. They just didn't realize it until the second half of the game. So kudos to a guy that I do not like in Kurt Cousins, but I got to give it to him. They came to play in the second half and they won. They got it done.
What's up, sis? Glad to have you on here.
What's
Thanks for
up?
tuning in. Thanks
What's
for
up, Rachel?
thanks for lunch today. Thanks for driving us to the tournament and freezing out there with me. She was my catcher today as I was pitching, so that was a fun and special moment. We were talking to each other while pitching. It's fun playing ball with her
Is
on the
that
field
is I
on that side
would
note
have
there.
loved to have been in that huddle.
Yeah. But let's talk about something real quick here in regards to the game. You brought up as Justin Jefferson, um, Matt Ryan wants to break his own record for the biggest blown lead. He
Yeah,
accomplished that because
he did.
he was what it was 23-3 against the
Yep.
Patriots in the Super Bowl, and then he said, let me add 10 points to that lead and see if anybody could come back from that.
I think they were up by more than that, if I remember correctly. I have to go back and look at the stat.
Yeah.
But yeah, man. I mean, poor Matt Ryan. I mean, in my opinion, this may be the end of his career. It's over.
Why is it that every
Hang him up.
quarterback that's coming towards the end of his career goes to play for the Colts?
I don't
Philip
know.
Rivers just got
Yeah,
done doing it. Matt Ryan's doing it.
they've got a
Who
great
else was there?
retirement plan. I don't know. They've got the
So
OG quarterback retirement plan. So I don't know what it is, but at the end of the day, man, it's. I mean, we didn't really see the Colts being any good this year anyway. But for the Vikings to ramsack Matt Ryan again, I really feel bad for him. I think he is gonna disappear like Philip Rivers. I'm gonna just say it right now. I think at the end of the season, Matt Ryan is no longer in a Colts uniform.
and they've had good careers. There's nothing to take away from that. But
Yeah.
this is just another black eye on your career that you couldn't get the job done. But I want to circle back to Justin Jefferson here.
Yes. Yes.
He's 300 yards away from breaking the individual season record for receiving yards. There's a lot of good receivers in the game right now. Is Justin Jefferson to you the best wide receiver in this game, barring if he breaks his record or not? This is a very big record as far as at the receiving mark goes, but is he the best receiver right now? And is this something that is more of a sustainability for him in this league?
Well, I think Justin Jefferson is definitely the best wide receiver this season. Now we'll have to pull up some stats because I don't have stats specifically on how he compares to everyone else. But I remember us having a conversation about the best wide receiver, and we were talking about Jamar Chase, or Lamar Chase, and we talked about Devontae Adams. But this guy's doing it on a team that's been good all season and has been fairly consistent. This is his third year in the league. His first season he
Yeah.
was 14, had 1,400 yards. Last season he was 16 yards. And now right now he's sitting at 1623. I mean with what 3 games to go. So we're looking at a guy who could very easily he might be able to get up into that, break that record and get closer to that 2,000 mark. So I think he's the best guy because he's also playing on a very good team. And yeah, stat wise, I mean the dude is killing it. There isn't a weekend where you don't see him making a crazy catch.
No,
So he's
I mean,
always week to week
he
an amazing
made a
play.
big play against the Bills. That fourth down catch with the defender Drake on him, and a la Odell Beckham, taking the ball out of him. I gotta go that he is the best receiver in the game, and I don't think it's gonna be close for the next few years. It's gonna be interesting on how when he starts getting more double teams
Yeah,
here. I think that'd be the biggest adjustment. But right now, there's no one. I don't think there's any corner of the league that stays with Justin Jefferson one on one. I mean, the dude's averaging over 200 yards a game right now,
yeah,
pretty much. As a fantasy owner, I would like to see more touchdowns to go with these yards, but I'll take what I can get right now. So
yeah.
he is big in that moment there. But let's talk. Let's keep it in the wide receiver conversation because we had the Bengals and Bucks today, which was a pretty big game, and the Bengals handled
They
business.
did.
They got the victory against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and knocked my team into the out of the division lead, which we'll talk more in a little bit. But the Bengals are finding their stride. This is, I think, probably something we should have seen from them a long time ago. But I think this is finally the icing on the cake to end Tom Brady's career.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. I,
you don't see losses this late in the season from a Tom Brady-led team, especially when playoffs are on the line, and they're just not getting it done.
quite frankly, I'm tired of looking at it. And I think we're watching Tom Brady wind down into the dead duck years of his career. And that's what he's throwing. He's throwing ducks. He's been struggling the past couple of weeks. And I don't know why he came out of retirement to come back. But I think it was a mistake. I think his first inclination to retire last year was the best one, and he should have stayed retired. The Bucks don't have what it takes to get back to the Super Bowl. He's not the guy this time around, at least, that's going to be able to lead them there.
Yeah.
And I'll give kudos to the Bucks that this is another tale of two halves. I think the Bucks were up in this game. What was it, 13 or 17 to nothing or something? So they had a good lead. But the Bengals came back and stormed back, got the lead, and then got that last touchdown in the fourth to seal the deal. And again, the Bucks they're just okay. And so watching Tom Brady waning through the rest of his career on an okay team is not going to be fun to watch. But all that being said, they still lead the NFC South, so they will still be a playoff team, and somehow. We're going to be watching them in the playoffs.
We may not be watching them in the playoffs because, in all honesty, the NFC South is all divided, is separated by one game.
You're right. No, you're right. You're absolutely right. Yeah.
So you can get the Falcons, you can get the Saints, or the Panthers, and everyone thought the Panthers were going to be done because they dumped Baker Mayfield, they dumped Christian McCaffrey, and here they are sitting one game out of the playoffs. The NFC South is going to send a team to the playoffs with a losing record.
Yes.
Let that sink in.
They need to call this like the NFC dump, or the NFC.
The NFC dump, I like that. I like that.
Dumpster fire. I mean, it's kind of embarrassing looking at 6-8, 5-9, 5-9, 5-9. The fact that one of these teams gets to get into the playoffs reminds me that there really should be seeds in the game of NFL. There's no, just like in basketball where there's seeding and you give the best team the opportunity. The Detroit Lions, who have been playing their butts off, may miss the playoffs, but the 6-8 Buccaneers or 6-9 Panthers or whatever their final record is going to be will be able to play in the playoffs, and I don't think that's fair, Brian. I don't think that's fair at
No,
all.
it's not fair at all. And here's the worst part: they're going to host a NFC wildcard game
Right,
because they're division leader.
right, right,
That doesn't make any sense right here. The Lions are tied with Seattle. Unfortunately, they have to try to get through the NFC East, where they've got all four teams in the playoffs right now.
right.
So it's tough for the Lions, who are having a breakout season, to get into the playoffs. And I'm sure this may come up as a discussion because of the fact that you have an under 500 team making the playoffs in their division. If
Right.
this was by seeding, the Lions are in right now.
Exactly. Exactly. And in my opinion, that's what it should be because I don't really want to. I don't know if do we really want to watch any of those teams lose that home game against that wild card team because that's ultimately what's going to end up happening.
Oh, 100, probably.
Yeah, I
Who
mean,
knows?
yeah, man.
Uh, Jess got a comment. I'm a Brady fan. Went to school with that guy at St. Greg's and Sarah. That must have been some crazy times while he was there. I'm a Niner fan and always been, but I got to give love to the dude. I mean, Jess, you'll agree he's the greatest quarterback of all time. Whether
Absolutely.
people want to believe it or not, it's really tough to watch guys who are at that level at the best of their career to end the career on this kind of note here. It's just tough. I think after the Super Bowl with Tampa Bay should have just been like, "Hey, I did it. You guys can suck it. I'm out." And just it would have that would have been a great ending in my honest opinion for him to go out there. Um,
He had an opportunity to do the Jordan. Where you could have went out on top. Now Jordan did come out of retirement and play against the Wizards, or play with the Wizards, but nobody really remembers that. And he's just you. Tom Brady would have been able to go out into the sunset, most Super Bowls, all the accolades, all the records, but for some strange reason, he wanted to come back and play again, and I don't know why. I really don't. I feel like that one Bucks getting the Bucks there and winning was kind of like a flash in the pan, and I just don't know. It didn't seem like it was something that was sustainable. So I don't know. I don't know
no,
what the guy's idea. What the hell he was doing. And by the way, Tuck Rule. I'm a Raider fan. Tuck Rule. Sorry, I don't like Brady. And then and I never will. But I'm
Jess,
sure. I'm sure he's a great guy. I'm sure he's a good person. Don't get me wrong. Just as a fan, not interested. But
Jess, you haven't been on long enough, but that gets him going the most. Is anytime we can bring up the tuck rule, um, it's a trigger warning for him.
hey, man,
But let's
I broke a TV remote. Okay, seriously. I broke a television remote. All right, that's how bad that was. And I was a young person, but hey, man, that was terrible. Oh man.
But let's talk about one other Saturday night game before we have to talk about my team's just terrible Saturday night game. But it was the game of the weekend before the Bills and the Colts stepped, or before the Vikings and Colts stepped on the field. But all the hype um, is the Bills and Miami game, and there was a lot of build up to this about it not being too cold for Miami. You had McDaniels wearing a shirt. I wish it was colder. And then you see the pictures of just the absolute snow dump that fell upon Buffalo there. And they even had to tell the fans, "Hey, if you throw a snowball and it hit the Dolphins player to 15-yard unsportsmanlike
Oh
conduct,"
my
and
god.
boy, the snowball started to stop flying. But let me ask you this, T. Through all of that, did the Bills reestablish themselves as the alpha dog of the AFC, or is it still belonging to the
You know
Chiefs?
what? I honestly think it's a toss up. I don't think there's a clear winner, and the reason I say that is because the Bills were so impressive out of the gate, and they blew everybody's doors off. They were just the team. Jared, I keep saying Jared Allen. Josh Allen's out there destroying it. He's running for first downs, throwing the ball 80 yards in the air. It was a show. But as time went on, these last 3 to 5 games, they've really kind of slowed down. Their offense hasn't been as potent, and not so much that I guess it is they don't seem as it seemed before like they were head and shoulders above their competition. Now they're in close
Yeah.
game after close game after close game. And so I don't know. I really feel like it is a toss up between them and the Chiefs, and I don't know if I could pick one of them to be better. I mean, the Chiefs are kind of in the same boat. They're struggling to beat teams that are not that great either. So it's kind of a toss up to me. I don't think either. Those are the best two best teams. So which one of them is better than the other? I have no clue. We're gonna have to see him play again,
Yeah.
like we did last year.
Well, we are trending towards that. We are trending towards that to another Bills Chiefs championship game here. But I mean, look, I think both teams are starting to struggle here. You see the Chiefs only won by 6 against
Yeah,
the 1-11
yeah, that was
Texans.
silly.
You know, and I was talking to a friend today at the tournament. Was like, hey man, it's any given Sunday, like the movie.
Yeah,
Uh, teams like the Texans don't have much to play for. So they're just going to play loose. The Chiefs have a lot to play for right now. They have to stay ahead of it. Now, unfortunately, they don't own the tiebreaker because they lost to the Bills. But any time, because the AFC East is a pretty loaded division as
mm-hmm.
well, if the Bills just have to come falling. The Chiefs own the AFC
By
West.
far,
That's a known
by
thing
far,
there.
yeah.
So I don't think they're really looking at it at that. It's just more of, hey, when are the Bills gonna come off that ladder? So the Bills don't have a lot of wiggle room to drop a game between now and the beginning of
Right.
January because you need that number one seed. You don't want to have to go to Arrowhead in an
No.
AFC Championship game with that kind of crowd there. You got to give yourself a chance in Buffalo there. So they got a lot to play for
Yeah.
right now.
They
In there,
they've got the Bears and then the Bengals. So the Bears, I'm sure they'll run over, but they're going to play in Cincinnati the final game of the season. So there could be something on the line there.
No, my team plays Cincinnati the final game of the season.
Oh, your team.
Yeah, we go to Cincinnati for the last game of
Well,
the
then
year.
what am I looking at, dude? It says that the Buffalo Bills are going to play Week 16 against the Bears on the 24th, and then regular 7 they're playing on the 2nd against the Bengals. You sure about that, B?
Maybe. I don't know. I'm done with watching Cincinnati this Saturday, to be honest with you.
Yeah,
Let's
it's okay.
get-
We blown the
let's
fuse,
get caught up
America.
in
We
the
blown the
chat
fuse.
Jess, we love the comments. We love the energy you bringing us here. Whoever represents the NFC South is getting
exactly.
Molly Watts in the playoffs. Oh, 100%,
Yeah.
man. They're not going to stand a chance there. And he should have hung up the cleats and said, "I'm done." Maybe if he would have hung up the cleats, the divorce with Giselle never would have happened. I'm just saying.
See? Hey.
I'm throwing it out there. By the way, Jess, I look forward to balling with you in Arizona coming up in a few weeks here. So that should be a fun weekend while we're out there. Good teammate of mine here. Great attitude. I love the man to death. Got a chance to play with him in Florida as well. So he's some good people here. But let's get to your team.
Wait, before we do that, can we also talk about the Jaguars and the fact that they beat the Cowboys today in quite the game. We're not talking about it was a barn burner at 34-40, winning in overtime. Yes, that's right, pick 6. So Jacksonville is right there, or is in the hunt at 6-8, and the way since the Patriots lost to my Raiders, well, they're not far off.
They have a shot at the division.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. I said the Patriots. Yeah, exactly. The Patriots, yes, because they're on the bubble. What I meant was for the wild card, folks. We're blowing more fuses. So for the wild card.
We're blowing
So for the wild card that has put the Jaguars in a position, the AFC South, because the Titans lost, excuse us, that the Jaguars still have an opportunity to win in the AFC South.
Who would have thought? Trevor Lawrence is as a fantasy football owner. Trevor Lawrence playing the best game. They're a game back right now.
Yeah.
Again, a team that has no expectations and nothing to lose here. So, and I believe they played Tennessee one more time.
Yeah.
So, it's crazy to believe that the teams we wouldn't have thought that could stay in it, the Jacksonville Jaguars, the
Detroit Lions,
all have a shot at the playoffs and have made big improvements. I think what you have to give credit to are the coaches. That's the big thing, and then just the players that are sticking with this. Because in years past, we've seen players go to bad teams and just don't want to be there no more.
Right.
But it's a culture change over there now, especially with the Lions. I would have never said them to be 7-7. I would when you hear the Lions, you hear what? Two
Yeah,
wins.
yeah. 2 to 3 wins. Top draft pick next year. Same thing.
Here they are. Here they are in the middle of a playoff chase. The Jaguars get the Titans at the end of the year,
Wow.
and who knows what that game's going to mean. The NFL may have done this right with the schedule. Every division team to play each other one last time.
Yes. Agreed.
And now you're going to have going up with you could have the Jags and the Titans playing for a division. You can have the Ravens and the Bengals playing for a division. You can have the NFC East playing for well, no, actually the East is over, but the AFC
Yeah.
East is still within the division shot as
Right.
well. So there's 3 or 4 divisions that are going to be on the line at the end of the year. The NFL is like sitting on a gold mine
Yeah.
right now with their scheduling
Yeah.
here. So they're super happy. Let's get our chat just don't want to stop here.
Let's do it.
Rachel got the top draft pick this year. They're gonna have the top draft pick for a few years, to say the least. There, that team is
1-11 or 1-12 now.
1-12 now. Every time they showed, like last year, they had a little bit of a bright hope, and then that fizzled out here. Trevor Lawrence is starting to get on his feet. Look, he is the number 1 quarterback or the number 1 draft pick of last year's draft. So there's a lot of pressure, and he's handling.
He's doing good. He's doing as good as you can expect for a guy coming into the league. And going back to the Texans, I think they've got the physical therapist curse. So until they lift that curse,
oh my God.
until they lift that curse, they're gonna be losing. They're gonna be losing.
112 and
all the court cases.
Good player on the Texans is
all the
Pierce.
Court cases ain't been settled, man. So until they get them settled, it's gonna be a long road for them. All right, we'll take. Oh yeah.
112 and 1. The tie means something. It may not mean nothing because they're the only team with 1 win in this league right now. So I think they'll be okay. I
think 12 and 1 would have been more impressive, honestly. A team with no wins and 1 tie. That's impressive. Oh man.
When the Texans' best player is Pierce and he's not even having a good season, that's how you know you're having a bad season. Is when your best player is still not having a good season.
Tell the NFL to get rid of the tie. We can go ahead and kill that, can't we? I mean, come on, guys. We don't have to do that anymore.
They should just be 0-2. Can someone drop some knowledge? Let's not pull it up, but can someone let us know who the Texans beat in this season here? Because I honestly don't even remember that win, to be honest with you. But Taj, as the chat lets us know,
the Texans beat a chicken sandwich in week 3. All right, go ahead.
Let's talk about your team.
All right,
here.
yes.
Tuck Rule 2.0, but inside of Las Vegas at the world's largest gay cocktail party. The Raiders.
Sorry, Kane.
The Raiders. Oh yeah. Oh damn. Sorry, Kane. The Raiders got a chance to get revenge on the Patriots in probably one of the best ways since the Tuck Rule.
I loved it.
Let me set this up for everyone so Taj could just enjoy this moment here. With the last play of the game, the Patriots for some reason try to turn the last play into the Harlem Globetrotter remix here, and Lord and behold, Ravon Stevenson throws a pass backwards, gets tipped and intercepted by Chandler Jones, who then you got the ball, and he goes running over Mac Jones like a dump truck just to score a touchdown to end the game here. Jess, hey man, take care. Thanks for coming in here as well, man. We hope to see you next.
Thanks, Jess. Thanks for joining us, man.
But But in any case, the Raiders win. They get their revenge in one of the best ways possible without any snow on the ground. So, Taj, as a Raider fan, how did it make you
Well, it
feel?
felt great. I think the best part of it was watching Coach Belichick with his bra on walk halfway across the field with the most bewildered face, just squinched up, wondering what happened, what just happened, and it was just hearing all of the commentators during the game and after the game with the giant question marks on their face, going, "What the hell was that? Why did did Bill Belichick draw that up? Why did he do? What did just I just love it. All of the controversy, all of the questioning of his coaching skill has made me happy and warm inside this Christmas. So to run through the play, the Raiders did a great job getting back into this game. They came out. They always do this. Remember we talked about them being close in all their games. It's
Yeah.
because they spend the whole game playing one half and not the other. So they played well to start the game, and then they gave the lead back, and then they had to get back into the game to take the lead and eventually go into overtime, and they were able to do that. Now that I excuse me, I thought they were going into overtime. I thought for sure. I just said they went in overtime. What am I talking about? I thought for sure this game was going into overtime, and the Raiders usually do well in those types of games. They can squeak one out. They've had a bunch of games like that, a couple of games like that this year where they've won on a last minute touchdown. But I didn't expect this last minute touchdown. The It was a draw that was called. The running back got a few, maybe 15 more yards, and I guess decided, hey guys, all of a sudden we got a chance to win this game, and just kind of Dwayne Wade esque throws it behind his back, but there was no LeBron James. It was just whoever the other wide receiver was. That guy, that guy then starts running in the wrong direction, and decides to Tom Brady duck the ball across the field back to the quarterback. And lo and behold, Chandler Jones is just standing there. There's nobody else there. It's just him and the quarterback. The quarterback is looking like, what the hell is going on? He didn't even attempt to make a play on the ball. Chandler Jones catches it like the little kid with the glasses no. He caught it
Little
like
Giants.
yes, Little Giants. Yes. It was like, whoa, what do I do now? And he just turns and completely kills the first person he can find, which is Mac Jones. Stiff arms him, steps over him, and then slowly but surely gets into the end zone. It was an incredible play, incredible game. I no one could have drawn that up or even imagined it ending that way. It was one of those bonehead football moments, and I'm glad it worked out for the Raiders, because if you remember correctly, back against the Chiefs, the Raiders had ran a fourth down play to try to win the game. Do you remember what happened in that play?
Yeah, your two wide receivers ran into each other.
Yes, it went to Three Stooges real quick, and I'm glad to see that the NFL gods have saw fit to give us some fruits of the same type of blunder. So thank you. It was awesome. Enjoyed it.
They got the revenge. It's safe to say, but we've got. I need to bring something to your attention here from Rachel. The new OT rule should be 15 minutes of regular play. After that, the breaker should be longest kick attempt by each kicker. The Raiders would probably hold court in that if they had Sebastian drinks whiskey all the time.
Sebastian, cover your drink, Janikowski.
Do you know what? That'd be entertaining, and they have to start at the 50, 40, because a lot of kickers kick around that, right?
Yeah.
Can you imagine going through the draft and now taking kickers in early rounds
Oh
if that
man, it'd be
overtime
great.
rule was
It'd be great.
present? Just so you had a guy who
were we the last
50
team?
yards.
Weren't we the last team to take a kicker in the first round? The Raiders. That's right, Sebastian
Yes, you
Janikowski. What is wrong with us? Oh my god! But
that would have been funny as hell if it had happened. If it happens again, if that rule, Rachel, that's a good rule. Hopefully the NFL's listening to us. They probably aren't. But if they are, that should be an overtime rule that they should incorporate. But back to your Raiders here. So obviously it's a big win. They're sitting at 5-8 right now.
Yeah.
Really outside chance
Yeah.
of looking in. They are getting a couple players back in Hunter Renfro and Darren Waller here towards the end of the season here. So with 3 games, um, left on the schedule, where does a win like this take them?
Well, obviously they got to win out. I mean, that's number one. So they got to win out. I got to take a look at their remaining games, but they have to win out to have a chance. They need to have the Chargers drop off. They really needed the Chargers to lose to the Titans today, but the Titans, they just couldn't get it done for us. But there is still some games to go, and hopefully we can. I don't know, man. It's really not in our hands anymore. They just have to win the
It's
rest of their games. They just have to hope that the Chargers drop a few, and they have to hope. They have to really hope. Who else are we competing against for these spots? You got. Let's see here. You got the Patriots. You've got
the whole AFC
yeah. You
East.
got the Jets. So you're gonna need a lot of help. You're gonna need a lot of help.
Yep.
And so the hope is that the Jets will continue to slide down the standings because they lost their second string quarterback as well. They're down to their third quarterback. The Patriots have been, the Patriots. So the hope is that they lost to us today. Hopefully they continue to fall. And yeah, we need those Chargers to drop down quite a bit. So we're gonna need a lot of help from everybody. There's no getting around. It's a really long shot, folks. They just got to win the rest of their games, man.
I stand corrected. It's not. We're blowing fuses left and right. They're 6-8, not 5-8. My bad.
Yeah. Oh, the Raiders. Yeah, the Raiders
I'll
6.
cut you guys short. But the problem is they their last 3 games, they should beat the Steelers. You would think, but their last 2 games after that, against the Niners and the Chiefs.
Yeah. Yeah, man.
Well, it was fun while it lasted.
Like I said, they got to
Rachel's
win out.
got more to her overtime field goal. She's turned it into a game of horse. The kicker should pick the yard attempt, and if they succeed, the other team has to match it. So will they determine that on a coin flip? Kind of like if the kicker picks heads, then he gets the first crack at it, or you let the other guy kick to see if he's going to make it.
Sounds like penalty kicks. We getting into soccer.
Don't bring into don't come up with that.
You're
shit,
gonna be kicking the ball to win the game. I mean, come on, let's.
I mean, you're not wrong. You're not wrong.
We're gonna do a kickoff. We're gonna have a kickoff.
We're talking about football, not soccer. I like my team's chances with our kicker.
Yeah, I like ours too. Carlson's a good.
Who's your
Carlson.
kicker?
We're talking about the field goal kicker, right? Yeah, Carlson. The guy's great, man.
Oh.
It's been.
My bad.
Man.
Didn't mean to leave him hanging like that.
All right.
Can we just get my soccer equals grass fairies?
Yeah. See, again, you have to watch the sport, man.
It runs in the family, man. I'm sorry.
You have to watch the
soccer.
sport. In America, yeah, it's whack. I give it to you, but I'm telling you, if you watch it at its height, it's a wonderful sport to watch.
Too bad we'll never see it at its height. Except maybe in 4 years.
Right,
who knows?
Yeah, come on.
Can we just get my team's conversation over with real quick?
Oh, yeah, go ahead, man. Slip and slide. Let's talk about slip and slide.
I'll just end it like this. Lamar Jackson, dumb enough for him to come back early. The offense is absolute trash. Huntley couldn't hit water if he fell out of a boat on Saturday. The defense can only hold so much of the offense behind before they just get tired. Tucker had a pretty bad. You know when it's a bad game is when your kicker starts having a bad day. He missed a field goal, had a field goal blocked. He may not be making the playoffs. In all honesty,
yeah, man. That's the question. That's the question I have for you is. First off,
I don't see it happening.
Is Lamar coming back before the end of the season?
I'm sure that competitive nature is going to bring him back, but it's a week-to-week thing because of how severe the sprain is to his knee. And him being a mobile quarterback, it really takes a whole lot of it. But let's just put it like this. Their wide receiving core is dog water. We had to bring in Deshaun Jackson, but he dropped passes, on Saturday. We finally got J.K. Dobbins back, who's, may find his groove late where they could kind of establish that running game.
Yeah.
But everything just may be too late. It never fails the Ravens to get into these injury prone seasons here, and it's biting them again. And it happens to be their their quarterback here. I mean, when you look at their schedule, I'm pulling it up now.
Yeah,
The Falcons. The Falcons, for some reason, play teams tough. Then they get the Steelers, and then they go to the Bengals.
yeah.
It doesn't get easy.
Well,
It doesn't get easy.
it's I think you mentioned it. You've been mentioning it throughout. When we've discussed the Ravens, is they left a lot of meat on the bone by leaving a lot of wins
Yeah.
that they or games they could have won. They didn't take the advantage, and I think that's coming back to haunt them right now. So, yeah,
Yep.
man.
And in a time where you lose your quarterback, and you could have had that, the
Two,
record would have
yeah,
given them that buffer right there
right,
to allow for the couple of losses to take place without it hurting you, losing your division lead. But now you've lost your division lead. You're holding on to a wild card spot now.
right,
The problem with that is you're comfortable with the division lead compared to fighting 5 or 6 teams for wild card spots now.
right.
So it's not looking too good. If Lamar Jackson doesn't come back by next week, I consider the season done after that
It's unfortunate.
from them.
Unfortunate.
Yeah, very unfortunate here.
Well,
I had them at 12-5, so they technically can't lose any more games.
well, we'll see what they do, man. But obviously, without Lamar Jackson, not much. I mean, they only mustered what 3 points. I mean, last game. So nah,
It's
it ain't looking
bad.
good.
It's bad.
Browns aren't exactly world beaters either. So
No, they got beat by an elf at the 50-yard line. Let's just put it like that.
it's like,
Jesus, criminy.
all right. Let's
Um,
let's move the conversation over to another Bay Area team, or excuse me, the Bay Area team. Sorry, the Raiders aren't there anymore. And
yeah,
that's the 49ers. Came out on Thursday and beat the Seattle Seahawks on the road, and they got it done. They clinched the playoff berth. They have, they've turned this Cinderella story of a quarterback, into something that is now of interest. Now that we know they'll be going into the playoffs, and I mean, to be honest with you, this is kind of par for the course. This team's defense is very good. I think we know for a long time this offense doesn't necessarily need the greatest quarterback in the world to run it, and
yep.
but Purdy has stepped in and he has not made mistakes, and for that, kudos to him. And I'm looking forward to see how far do the Niners get in the play, or how far the Niners get in the playoffs.
Well, I'll tell you this. My biggest concern with Purdy was how he's going to handle a big road game.
Yeah,
And we all know how the Niners have done in years past in Seattle on the road, whether it was prime time, whatever the case may be. That's a very hard place to play in, regardless. Here, dude, he went in there like a seasoned vet and
yeah,
was calm and cool under pressure.
yeah,
You could see it in the way he handled the offense here, and the playbook was not shortened for him. They treated him like it was Jimmy G in that huddle.
right,
The playbook was at full disclosure, and you can see the plays that they were running. The difference with Purdy is the composure that he has. He kept his mind cool under the pressure, didn't allow the crowd to get to him, and he kept the game simple.
right.
As the Niner offense is very simple to just get the ball into your player's best hand and let them do the work. They lead the league in yards after catch and yak, so that screams, hey, just get the ball to your best players. Debo Samuel wasn't even on. I can't remember. He wasn't on the field.
No, and I was just going to mention. I mean, having what a great pickup McCaffrey is now that Debo Samuel's out. So I mean, they've
Yep.
got some weapons going into the playoffs. Hopefully, they can get Debo back, and we'll see. But yeah, man, I think the Niners are who we think they are. It's just a matter of how far will their defense take them. That's the story every year.
Well, and them finally using George Kittle all season.
Oh yeah, yeah,
It took them this long to finally get Kittle involved in the offense, but he opened it up for them,
yeah.
which opens up bigger playmaking there. But their defense is is the best defense in the league. There's no
By far.
hiding that.
Yeah,
It's all they have to do. Their defense is going to keep them in games every single time. Outside of the Chiefs game, they're going to stay within these games every single time. So it's how do you and that's always kind of been um, who's Kyle Shanahan's bugaboo, I should say,
yeah.
is how do you keep your team in this game? How do you keep the throttle on when you have a lead? Because
Right,
we've seen in years past where he's got a big lead and then goes to the run when the passing game is working, or
right.
he goes he goes to the passing game when the running game's working.
Yeah.
It's second guessing. So him keeping the throttle on is good. Rachel says Ayuk needs to be targeted more. He's too big of a beast. I think so too. But you kind of when you got one player going off, you got to feed that hot hand. George Kittle was having a monster game,
Yeah.
and the defense for Seattle wasn't stopping him. So yeah, keep targeting Kittle because he's your best weapon right now. And the same thing is going to be for McCaffrey, and also the same thing is for Debo. But it's going to open up Ayuk and it's going to open up Jennings for bigger plays here.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
But can we talk drama real quick?
Drama.
I gotta ask you. I gotta ask you this, Taj, and I know Rachel's watching this, so I'm just gonna open this up right now. Brock Purdy is showing that he could potentially be a starter.
Yeah.
Jimmy G was probably playing the best quarterback he had played in the Niner uniform up until then. And then you have Mr. Trey Lance, who has nothing to show for right now. Come this offseason, let me ask you this, Taj. If you were a Niner fan, what would you want to see your quarterback one and quarterback two look like?
So, I mean, this is the old trade one, start one, bench one, right?
Yep.
So
Yes, it
I
is.
think the one you trade is Trey Lance. The one you start is honestly I think you end up starting Garoppolo again, and then
Yep.
you bench Purdy. So I mean, and to be honest with you, that's not an easy choice to make because you're talking about the potential of Trey Lance and what he can do athletically for your team. But the only problem is your offense has done so well under two very, I'm gonna say similar, but similar style in that they're not athletic running quarterbacks. Has done pretty well within the offense that you run. So I don't know if that extra gear is exactly what you need or not. Now this all depends on how far Purdy goes. If poor Purdy somehow finds a way to uh, the NFC Championship game, or to the Super
Whew.
Bowl, then I think you're gonna start Purdy, bench Garoppolo, trade Lance. And the other reason I'm saying trade Lance is because he's got some value as youth. But I'm curious to hear yours. Be start one, trade one, bench one. I mean, who do you got?
I think you start Jimmy. I'm right there with you. Start Jimmy. You have Purdy on the bench, but you get rid of Trey.
Yeah,
This it's unfortunate that they Niners spent all these gave away all these draft picks to get the number 3 pick overall, and it doesn't pan out. But what they may have found was a diamond in the rough with Brock Purdy. The thing that's going to be the biggest thing for this team is the way Purdy goes into year 2 with all this experience under his belt, because this is a lot for him. This isn't just, hey, the team is 4-11. Let's throw you out there.
right.
You went up to Seattle and won an NFC West title.
No, yeah,
So the thing that I think the Warriors, or not the Warriors, I'm sorry, the Niners are going to be looking into is a legitimate quarterback competition now. This is legitimate. When the season started, it was more of, hey, get Trey Lance in there. But what did Trey Lance show that deserved him the starting role over Jimmy G?
it was just potential. It was all potential.
Exactly.
Yeah,
And so with that potential, you see what 4 years of college does for a quarterback to 3 games in college.
exactly. Yeah,
He's a much more experienced. He understands the same kind of the same play calling is in college with some of the teams than it is in the NFL. So Brock Purdy got exposed to that. Trey Lance really didn't get that exposure,
right.
and now this may cost him his job in San Francisco. Because with Jimmy G wanting to come back, I put it between Jimmy G and Brock Purdy to start for this team over Trey Lance any day during the NFL season.
Yeah, and Chad, if you want to respond to that again, bench one, trade one, start one. I mean, if there's any opinion you got on, please go ahead and drop it in the chat. But yeah, I completely agree. I just think the Niners have this very, very interesting quarterback carousel that's going on right now. And they're lucky, really, in that every person that steps up to the plate has at least brought something to the table and been able to create some wins. So kudos to, I guess, the front office for the Niners for drafting a guy that is really just Mr. Irrelevant, or maybe they just got lucky. I don't know. But this is probably the best circumstance that could have happened given that you lost your starter and your backup. Most teams that are dealing with this problem right now are struggling. The Jets are struggling. The Ravens, we just talked about it, are struggling.
They're struggling.
In any team that's lost their starting quarterback generally does not have a good shot. But the Niners are in the same place they were last year. So
Yeah.
they're good.
And when you look at it from a money standpoint, it's going to cost you less money to keep Brock Purdy for a couple of extra years than it is for Trey Lance, because Trey Lance is going to be due more money because he's a top 3 draft pick.
Yeah.
So there's that really big dilemma on what you want to do with that quarterback room. And honestly, I don't think Trey Lance is a bench player or even a number 3 quarterback. I think he's a good backup to start off with, but are you going to ask your number 3 overall pick in the 3rd spot as a quarterback?
Right.
That's the question you got to ask yourself. Is it worth it?
Right. And
so
we're gonna shift gears. We're gonna do a little bit of NBA talk to kind of round it out before we get to some more personal stuff. I'll start off.
Oh.
We'll start off with my team, or no? Let's start with your team since I'm talking already. Because and I think it's a bigger story, honestly. So the Warriors.
We got a road win.
They did get a road win today. That's right. They got a win. Yes. They beat the Toronto Raptors 126-110. I don't even know who was playing. I'll have to go back and look to see what the stats were on the game. But yeah, man. So Curry gets this weird shoulder injury. Is his shoulder? What's going on with this kid?
It's a shoulder injury. They have him out for a few weeks right now. I think up until the new year.
Got it.
Is when he's going to be out here.
So are as a Warrior fan, is this concerning? I mean, they've been kind of up and down the entire season. Poole drops in 43 today. By the way, that's how they got the win. They've been kind of up and down throughout the season, and now we're getting into the meat of the schedule before we get into the malaise of the January to the trade deadline or excuse me, All-Star break. So what do you see happening here? We got a couple of weeks, 3 or 4 weeks. Is this going to be detrimental to the Warriors' ability to maintain a 1 through 5 seed?
Well, this is where Jordan Poole earns that contract money.
Yeah,
and they're not. I mean, they haven't had Andrew Wiggins, who was supposed to potentially play today.
Yeah.
But I guess he didn't get cleared for that. But you want to talk about a really bad timing for this injury to take place on a 6-game road trip in what is it? I think it's like 6 in like 7 days or that. Yeah. I think the NBA hates the Warriors for what they did last year because they have 2 back-to-backs on this road trip. Like I don't really pay attention to other team schedules, but that sounds like some BS to put the defending champs in constant back-to-backs on every single road trip. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And this is a big road trip for them because they have to stay around 500 in a West where it is completely open, to say the least.
Yeah, exactly. Very.
Before you get into your Christmas Day showdown with the Memphis Grizzlies. And the Grizzlies haven't forgotten about the semifinals.
No, they haven't.
Let's just put it like
They're going to come hard. Yes, they always do.
And now it's going to be Jordan Poole versus Ja Morant. And we all saw how Ja Morant cooked Jordan Poole during that playoff series with a couple of events.
He's about to jump to clear over his head.
But the Warriors just have to find a way to stay within 500, to stay within at least the 8 seed before they get Curry back here. And honestly, dude, there's been a lot of turnovers watching this team play. Draymond Green is having a hell of a stretch here over the last 2 weeks now. He led the team in scoring in the first half.
Yeah, man, I think he's
like, what the hell?
He's just being aggressive where he can. He's not doing anything outside of what you would think he would do. It's just he's being a little bit more opportunistic, getting the ball towards the rim, and it's just something that I think he realizes that without Curry, they need him to step up, and I think that's what you're seeing from him. He's trying to do his best to contribute on the scoring end. Without Curry, when Curry comes back in the game, Draymond may go back to being like, okay, I'll do it sometimes, but I don't necessarily have to. Let me find the guy with the ball. But with just Jordan Poole out there and Klay Thompson has not been, very consistent. He's been kind of on and off. They need as much scoring power as they can muster. So I'm just hoping that this next few weeks the youth of the team actually starts to grow. I think that's your problem. You got to have Jordan Poole play better. You got to have the Kumingas and the Moody's and these other guys really step their game up, because long term you really can't depend upon, you know, Jermichael Green or Draymond's playing great, but he's not going to average 20. You got to have some of those guys come in and give those guys a spell and really help extend Curry's career here. And that's what this is their job now. Curry's out, he's hurt. They got to play it safe. You got to have the youth step up at this point and really offer something to help them win games. That's why they're here, to help Steph Curry play for a longer period of time. So they got to get it done.
Well, and that's why Poole got the contract that he well deserved that contract there. But now he has to really
earn it.
Live in that moment now. He has to take over. He needs to learn how to be a facilitator and a bucket getter as well. But he also got to learn some new moves, man, because his shot be getting sent back to left and right every time he goes to the hole because he never changes anything.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's still the same. So this is where the youth movement needs to happen now. There's no more waiting for this. We tried it. It didn't work. Now we have to go back to it. It's got to work. And who we need on that court more than ever? James Wiseman. You want to talk about potential bust in the making? If he's not on that court to help Looney and Jermichael Green, he'll be gone after this year because he can't be on the court. So that's why we need him here.
I agree. He's gone, in my opinion.
For that there. So this is a crucial time. I'm just hoping that the Warriors can maintain it. Obviously, bad basketball is still part of the Warriors. I've seen it for years. So if it starts coming around, it's been like, oh, this is nothing new to our to the longtime Warrior fans.
Yeah. They take some games off for sure.
That's for damn sure. But let's get away from my team now because I'm celebrating our third road victory of the year. I'm popping Martinelli's after the show. But let's talk about your team who had shown some promise and then decided to give it all away after you texted me, and then go out and get a big win against the Bucks. Had an ugly loss against the Celtics, and then obviously melted like butter against Philly here. But let's talk about your Lakers here, who are trying to find where they belong in this conference here. See out of this week from your team here?
Well, I see a team that has a concept of playing defense at a high level, that can really dominate a game if they're playing majority within the paint. But I also see a team that's old and tired. A team that gets lazy and starts to rely on jumpers and 3-point shots to will them through. And that's what you saw a lot of, especially against the Celtics and Philly, where they had opportunities to win the game. And what they did is they went back to some of their bad habits after having an entire almost quarter of sustained success in running their defense and their offense. They turned turnovers into points. They got into the paint. And then they got into overtime against the Celtics, and all of a sudden Westbrook's out there shooting jumpers by himself. And so they have these really bad habits that they get back into. They're older players, which I understand. LeBron, he's in there too, where they tend to, instead of attacking the rim, which had been successful for them that whole third quarter or fourth quarter run that got them back in the game, they went away from it, and they did the same thing with Philly. They have to understand that they're not a jump shooting team, and that they're not a 3-point shooting team. And so if they think they're going to win a game by knocking down a above the circle 3, they're idiots. That game is over. Give it up. The only way they hit 3-point shots, which they're still not good at, even when they're open, is if it goes from the inside, out. But if they start just dribbling and shooting jumpers, the game's over. So yeah, they fall into a lot of bad habits. They got to get rid of that. They got to be in the paint all the time. I know Bron's old. I know AD gets hurt. But the only way they're going to have a chance of winning is by being dominant in the paint, which means drive to the rim, Russell. I know you're gonna miss a layup or two, but still go. I'd rather you do that than take a air ball three or that silly bank shot 15-foot jumper, whatever that is.
You mean the one that hits the side of the backboard and
Oh my
not
god.
even the backboard?
And then on top of that, AD's playing lights out, but he can't make any free throws. We had 2 games where we would have won the game if we had made our free throws. AD misses 1 free throw against Philly, which would have gave us a 1 point lead instead of going in overtime. And then he misses 2 free throws against the Celtics, which again would have given us the lead. And it's just like, dude, like it's like when it comes to shooting, let's just put it this way: if you're relying on the Lakers to shoot shots, they're not gonna make them. it's layups and dunks, man.
They're not even going to make layups because I was watching the Celtics Lakers game and I texted you and say Patrick Beverly, he had two straight layups. He just
Oh my
absolutely
god,
bricked,
dude! It's just
and I'm like, here we go again. But you saw something in them from playing against the best team. Obviously, it's a big rivalry game between the Celtics and the Lakers, but they showed something. I was like, you saw a vintage Westbrook during that game,
yeah,
getting to the rim. No, there was no regard for human life when he was getting to the rim. It was like watching old Westbrook. But the free throws are always going to kill you.
yeah,
And you brought up a good point. AD is with AD being a liability, and obviously now because once again he's hurt yet again,
yeah,
Mr. Street Clothes.
yep.
Is
He's
he?
out.
Let me ask you this: with him missing big time free throws, is it something you're willing to risk to have him in the game late with the game on
Yeah.
the line, knowing that he may not hit his free throws all the
Yeah,
time?
because he has to be in the game. I mean, even though he missed them free throws, he's responsible for 50% of the points or something. He's the guy that's been so dominant that they really don't have a choice. And it's just because of what I talked about earlier. They don't have any jump shooters. They don't have any scorers that come off the bench and can contribute for them. They don't have a Jordan Poole who they could be like, oh well, he can give us 20 a night. They don't have it. They've only got LeBron and AD. Westbrook we could depend on for 10 to 15, maybe 20 points on a good night, but Westbrook's impact on the game is when he's coming off the bench and running with some of the younger guys on the floor. He's not
Yep.
necessarily the guy I necessarily want to give the ball to in the last 5 minutes of the fourth quarter to do anything. So yeah, a lot rides on AD and in his play. LeBron is going to be leaned on heavily these next few weeks, and we'll see if the old geezer can put his cane down and make some shots. So I'm excited to see what happens because I think if they do make a trade that nets them another scorer or nets them at least a 3-point shooter, then they could be a team that competes for the bottom half of the West. But as of right now, they're up and down. They're three games in the win column away from the Warriors. Go figure.
Well, that's because we don't want to win any games on the road. So that's the only reason why there's such a difference in that. I mean, the Warriors have won half their road games.
Yeah.
We wouldn't be having these conversations right now, dude.
3-14.
But 12-2 at home.
Oh,
Go figure.
That's
Gotta love that home
that's
cooking.
ridiculous.
But to the chat here, we got Alex Araika kind of coming in, conquering the West. I'm pretty sure he's talking about the Niners.
Yeah.
Yeah, well deserved. Keep the glance on Lance. There may be no more glance on Lance after this year. The Niners will have a big decision to make come this offseason. And then I'm watching the Cowgirls lose again and again to the Jaguars. How many views on YouTube have you given that page so far? Watching those highlights there.
Yeah. They the Cowboys always find a way to lose.
They sure do.
Not just to the Jaguars,
It's amazing.
just to whoever.
They may even find themselves out of the playoffs.
Well, I mean, we'll see. Yeah, I mean, there's a chance.
It could happen. It's an outside chance, but it could happen.
They're such a Jekyll team.
But in any case, I think that covers it for our sports for this week here. Let's get to a little bit of a fun note here. I mean, it's always fun talking sports, but we got the holidays coming up. Christmas, obviously, is this Sunday, so we won't be having a show Sunday for you guys. But T, I gotta ask you, what is with the holiday, with Christmas? Obviously, we talk about Thanksgiving. What is your favorite holiday tradition this weekend? What do you look forward to the most?
Well, one of them I already knocked out, which was I got to watch A Christmas Story with my 6-year-old. So it was great.
Was that their first
Yeah,
time
yeah.
watching
So
it?
it's great to see a child's view of what the 1940s or 50s or whatever time was look like, right? Because the dad's cussing and they got the the house is on the verge of burning down. The dogs they come in and eat the turkey. Oh man, Ralphie fighting with the bully. It's so good because it's so realistic. A lot of the crap that's on now is so makeup done well, so manufactured that it really loses some of its authenticity. But the Christmas Story is so real and indicative of what a real actual family would go through around the holidays, even though it's like from 50 60 years ago.
Well, TBS only shoves it down our throat from December 1st all the way to December 31st here.
Yeah, they sure do.
It's a great one. But real quick, before we continue on with our Christmas, Ellie Dominguez, what do you guys think of Buffalo fans throwing snowballs? I'm surprised it took that long for it to even happen.
First off, I'm a
That,
Raider fan. Okay, snowballs from Buffalo fans. The only reason this is important is because the Buffalo Bills are good. They haven't been good in 20, 15 years.
but it
So
almost cost them the game though
yeah,
because
it
the
did.
PA announcer had to go, "Hey, another snowball hits a Dolphins
Yeah,
player, it's a 15-yard
the
penalty."
Raiders, the Raiders were getting pelted by Denver Broncos fans with snowballs with batteries inside of them. Okay, this is not the first time this has happened.
This is true.
It happens all the time. I'm glad that they did something about it. But this is the kind of stuff that happens. It's why you have to have good security in your stadium, and it's why you have to, you got to have people in the stands that are making sure that folks aren't messing up the game for the rest of us or causing any harm to the players. But let it be known, if you hit Meta World Peace with one of those snowballs, he will find you.
Woo! Find you, and ain't gonna be no world peace. Gonna be world destruction.
Ron Artest, excuse
Dude,
me, for those who don't know.
let's just put it like this. This is the same fan base who'd be jumping on tables, trying to break them in the parking lot.
Having WWF
Are
matches in
we
the clips.
are we really shocked that they were throwing snowballs at people at players? Why, dude? I'm surprised. Like I said, that this wasn't
Man.
happening during warmups.
Yeah.
As a maybe as a spokesperson for the Buffalo Bills and your PA, this should have been an announcement just before kickoff started.
Yeah,
No
not
throwing
not
snowballs.
during not during the game. Yeah, it's too late then.
Snowballs in the end zone during the Buffalo Bills touchdown. So it's like,
Yeah.
dude, it's Bills Mafia. What else did you expect?
Yeah.
I bet you at halftime, if they set up 4 tables and they told fans, hey, if you break all 4 of them, we'll give you tickets to the next game. Dude, you had people doing swan dives
Oh yeah,
into
man, for
those
sure.
tables there.
For sure, for sure. Yeah, man. Degenerates.
Um, um, I know we talked about your favorite holiday tradition. Obviously, watching the Christmas Story with your son for the first time this year here. Um, mine opening presents at midnight. They used to be a big thing in our household.
Yeah, when we were kids,
Was
same here, man.
was doing the midnight.
Well, we got
midnight opening.
only one.
Oh, really?
Yeah, just one.
We growing up, we used to put on like these Christmas shows where we'd have to like do basically like a play to a Christmas song. So we did like Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, Santa Claus is Coming to Town. Like we used to do a little skit right before midnight. So then we
Wow.
got the pleasure of opening gifts there.
I would
so
very
that,
much
that,
like to see that. Birdie, if you're listening, please run the tape. We would love for you to run the tape.
Dude, I'm sure we have footage of it somewhere, but it used to be my sister, me, one of my cousins. We'd always put up, and my 2 other cousins, well, basically all the cousins pretty much, but we used to put on these shows until we open presents
That's funny, man.
and whatnot. Cool. But let me ask you this. I know sometimes Thanksgiving and Christmas dinners are kind of the same, but what's your favorite Christmas food that you look forward to?
You know what? Yeah, they are.
On Christmas Eve or Christmas Day?
They are kind of the same, so it's hard to say. So I'm just gonna pick like a snack that I really like, and it's got to be those round tins with all the butter cookies in them. Royal Danks. Danks, you
That
know that
ends up
Danks, you
turning
know what I'm
into a
talking about.
sewing kit. The Royal Danks.
The Royal Danks can has to be my favorite. You could just blow through the whole can. You can even reach in there and grab one of those little those paper cups, and just take it with you.
Have one
That's
for
right. That's
yourself.
right, baby. Because there's two levels. You know, you got the second floor and the first floor. So I'm gonna
Yeah.
grab one to run from the first floor and walk off. You know what I'm saying? Just take it down.
No wonder that tin was empty so
Hey
quickly.
man, that's right.
Um, man, I go. Our family makes tamales every year.
Oh my, yeah, my wife does too. Yeah,
We do homemade. Now, there's a tamale difference, everyone. Believe it or not.
yeah, but I'm eating Mexican tamales and he's eating a different kind. I think.
So the ones we make are called naka tamales. I'm probably ruining it, the wording by all that, but it's a little different. The masa, the texture. We put pork belly, a couple of other different meats, some veggies, potatoes, rice. Like, dude, we put it all in there. This year I just made meat and potato tamales. Like, I'm not all one for vegetables, as you can see. So I was like, you know what? Let's just make meat and potato tamales.
Now, do you use a
Um,
corn husk or is it a banana leaf? Which one is?
no, we just use it's like a wax paper, pretty much, like parchment paper, pretty much.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
So what we do is the masa. They take the masa, they put it on the paper. We put all the ingredients together, and then we tie it up, and then boil it for 60 or for 3 hours. It's the initial cooking,
Uh,
and then we freeze them. And then when you ready to eat it, then it's another. You boil it for like 45 minutes to an hour.
see, that's different.
Um,
Okay.
yeah, I got roped into tying this year, and I'm telling you, there's probably people we gave tamales to where the water is going to get into it because I did a terrible job tying these tamales,
Well, see,
to say the
it's
least.
funny that you mentioned because it's like completely. It's not. It's similar but different. So that well, basically after you make the masa and you stuff them, you do all that, then you're just tying them and steaming them. But you're only putting
Yeah,
in the corn husk in a steamer. So it's a little bit different. But the work that goes with making the damn things is it's a process, and my hands were burning, and because the moss is hot, and and then they get to roasting chilies in the house, and I can't breathe, and it's a process, man.
no, it definitely is. Like, my sister and my cousin were kind of they ended up spearheading it. But my sister in law did it. Now, generally, like it's my mom's thing to do. It was her thing. It was passed down from our grandmother as well. But this year, all the cousins
Yeah.
and family members basically did it, and same thing. Our masa is just cold. It starts out cold.
Okay.
But dude, there's these little chili peppers that go in there that bust your insides, man. And one of them had like 5 or 6 of them in there. My mom ended up getting that tamale with about 5 or 6 of them in there. Bro, she took
Choking.
one bite and she was like, she was dead. I was supposed to go to my uncle Alex Araika in Boston and ended up with us.
Oh man. Oh my
We
gosh.
missed that one, but let's before we leave here, Taj, I got a question for you. Is it better to open up Christmas presents on Christmas Eve or on Christmas Day?
So I mean, as a kid, it was like, yeah, I wanted to do the Christmas Eve one because I knew what my big present was. So I just went and got that. We just played with it all night till like 3 or 4 in the morning, and then fell asleep and woke up and opened the rest. But
Yeah.
as an adult, as a parent, it's in the morning because you want your kid, you want to have them have the experience of, oh, it's Christmas morning. They run down the stairs. What do we open first? You bust out your camera with your eyes, one eye halfway open, trying to make coffee fast enough to get over there before they start ripping everything apart like a bunch of turkey vultures. And so it's that is definitely the morning. As a parent, it's definitely the morning because you get to see them get together and have fun with it. And me and my wife, we usually the night before we get all the stuff under the tree the night before. So it's
Man,
it's quite the ordeal.
no wonder you're wake no wonder you're waking up tired, man. You
Yeah.
gotta get up. Do you do the elf on the shelf with the kids?
Yeah, we did. His name's JJ. They had to name him because you have to name your elf. So JJ from Good Times, and we didn't do too much with him this year. He's just been chilling next to my PlayStation this year. Before he
Uh-huh.
was, my wife used to take these every morning. She would do something different. Last year, I think his ass was hanging out the top of a cereal box one morning. We put him. We put, he was in the Christmas tree playing peekaboo, or sitting on the chair with my PlayStation controller in his hand or on his lap. So we had a lot of fun with it. You can have a lot of fun with Elf on the Shelf, man.
I know that's a big thing for everyone now, and I know the elves can get into some mischief. Ellie Dominguez, Christmas morning, got to wait for Santa to arrive. We all got to wait for Santa to arrive. He's got a busy day. What kind of cookies do you leave out for Santa Claus?
I don't leave anything for him. I eat all them cookies.
Oh, I should have known that you were taking first level cookies out of the royal
You
tin.
got that right. He ain't
Um,
getting none of my royal danks.
I would say for us, we did when we would have family over Christmas Eve. Obviously, through the whole midnight thing, we would all open up presents from the family members, like from our uncles, from our
Yeah,
aunts,
exactly. Yeah.
the cousins, and then on Christmas Day, we would save the presents that we received from our family, our mom and dad, or sorry, Santa Claus, through through Christmas Day. And I did the same thing, dude. Like we would hand them out, and I'd get a like, ooh, what was this? Is it what was I looking for? Then I would
Yep.
organize it from the smallest present to the largest present, and then open it in that order there.
Dude.
So
Yeah.
obviously, Santa is a little lighter on the gifts as we become adults, because he's like, if you can afford it, why do I need to get it
Yeah,
for you?
exactly.
But
He's like, you ain't a kid no more. So
yeah,
forget it.
dude, it's always fun watching the kids have fun with it. And, the traditions that go on with the holiday season is always a blast.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
you know, we wish we wish everyone out there who's watching the show, who's going to watch the show later this week, just a happy holiday. It's a holiday season where you want to enjoy the company around your loved ones here and whatnot. So
Yeah.
it's a good time. So I'm hoping my cookies could last long for Santa Claus before I wake up in the middle of the night and get like that
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 itch.
adult midnight snack and
Ah.
just go ooh,
Yeah, that's what I do, man.
destroy that.
Yeah, I play 2 rounds of Call of Duty, and then I get up and turn around and look for snacks. So that's usually what happens to me.
It tends to be the case with that, but I think that's unless you got anything else Christmas
No, man, just
wise.
wish everybody
Um,
a happy, or excuse me, Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year too. Rachel, Jesse, who else we have? Ellie, Alex, we appreciate you chiming in today, and hopefully you enjoy your family, hold your loved ones, tell them you love them and all that, and you know, try not to drink too much eggnog. You know what I mean?
Dude, my mom loves
I
eggnog, man.
love
That thing is
eggnog.
this. That thing
What
is,
kind of eggnog do
dude. Do
you?
you? Hell no. Do you spike it at least,
No,
or
no, I
you
don't
just drink
spike
it
it.
straight
String it
up?
straight, dude. Sometimes I'll warm it up.
Uh,
When it gets around this time of year, I use it for a creamer for coffee, man. Like, I mean, I love eggnog, but yeah,
Damn.
yeah. So like, Bud's eggnog is the best. You're near the city, so Bud's should be near
Yeah.
around you. It's a San Francisco specialty. But Bud's eggnog is the best eggnog you can buy. It's nice. It's light. It's not all thick and like that crappy garbage. What's that other stuff? The
There's like a German eggnog that's out there. My mom's, but I've never.
German eggnog.
I don't know.
What's it
I
called?
don't know. I've never. I'm
Soft
never
that.
drinking eggnog. I don't know. Eggnog normally puts me on the toilet for the rest of the night, so maybe that's why I don't mess with it there.
Well, it is a cup full of eggs, so I understand why that would hit you like that. Uh,
But hey, man, I just want to say this on the behalf of B&T. You guys have a wonderful holiday. Close out here. Like I said, we will not be on the show Sunday. It is Christmas Day. It is time to be with family. But what are we thinking? New Year's Eve?
yeah, we could try. Yeah, yeah, we'll shoot for it. Let's talk about it and see what we can get going. New Year's Eve, man. You trying to We
New Year's Eve is the
doing a
following week.
We doing a countdown? Countdown?
We got to plan on it. It's the following week, right
Yeah.
after Christmas. So,
Yeah.
but we'll see.
We'll figure
But
it
hey,
out.
man, from my family to yours, T. You guys have a wonderful holiday as well.
Same to you,
Um,
sir.
we'll see who's in the playoffs when we get back on the show.
Oh man, it's gonna be great. Won't be the Raiders. All right.
It may not be my team either.
Yeah, you're right. All
All
right,
right, y'all.
y'all. Peace.